Hello and welcome to Two Guys and a Few Good Men. I am TJ Washuk.
And I'm Garrett Loberg.
And this is Movie Lowdown's spoiler cast for Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, well, welcome in, guys.
Yeah, I had my baked Dr. Pepper beans and I'm ready to go.
Oh, wow. That's a thing. So let's get right into the spoilers. Transition that way. So, Endgame, if you guys haven't seen it yet, go see it. Go put money towards it.
Don't watch this video.
And don't watch this video. Go watch it and put more money towards it because it'll be the best there ever was in the theaters. Good luck topping this one, guys.
So, this one guy, Carson Daniel, that's on the Two Guys, he posted that he saw Endgame last night, and the guy in front of him was like, yeah, I saw this 6 times already. 6 times.
Jesus. No, I'm good.
That's enough.
I'm good. I don't need to see it 6 times.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
my
how
lord.
much? That's like $80, probably.
Oh, I mean, if you're seeing it, probably
Plus if you get drinks and
$12.
concessions.
Oh yeah, and they've been doing really good on the concessions for this, which they weren't ready for any of this. But
Oh no.
so
But it's funny, the movie theaters, we got this at AMC. It's like a commemorative tin that came with popcorn, but I just got it without the popcorn because it was cheaper.
and see him.
And they were selling a lot of pop vinyls and T-shirts, so they were definitely trying to commercialize this movie as much as possible.
Trying as much as they can. Seriously.
So let's get into it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. So basically, picks up from the spot about maybe 21. I think it was 21 days after Infinity War. And it basically picks up
Where Tony's at.
and it starts off with Hawkeye.
Yeah. Oh.
And it's so funny because the first scene, Hawkeye.
Oh yeah.
The first scene, I was like,
Oh,
no! And the whole
It starts already.
the whole fucking theater was like, oh, like you heard just the despair. And so it turns out he's trying to teach his daughter how to shoot an arrow, and teaches her, and she shoots a perfect hole-in-one.
Daughter like
Whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Bullseye.
Like father like daughter.
Yeah, father like daughter. And he turns around for 1 second, and then they're all gone. So
He's like, no.
where'd you go?
Where'd you go?
He's very angry. But then it transitions into Tony and Nebula in space. Now,
I like this scene.
this
a lot.
was really cool. I like how they humanized Nebula. Nebula is
Yeah.
always so competitive, and you see
Very
Nebula
robotic.
and I think Tony even notices like, oh, she's just doing this because she's competitive, and he like lets her win. He's like,
Yeah. Don't kill me.
yeah. But you see her, give him the food.
Yeah.
He's offering the food to her, and she gives, it to him, and he needs it more because it's human. I think she's got a little bit more cybernetics to her. But that was really fun to see, and it was really cute, and it was like, it was
You see a
good.
different side of her.
Yeah, because you're so used to seeing her in a very aggressive way. But then you have basically Captain Marvel comes and saves the day
Yeah.
and gives him
Kinda-
a lift home.
Kind of, you already predicted that would happen.
And I didn't really want it to happen that way. I thought it'd be cooler if like they had the Avengers go out and save him. But I think to save on time, they were just like, fuck it.
We'll just bring out Superman.
Yeah, we'll just have her bring him back.
Or Superwoman, sorry.
Yeah, Superwoman. So they get back to the facility, and Tony and Steve get to have their conversation of, we lost, it was my fault, no, it's my fault, and still tensions are a little high on that road, which was a little.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to actually be.
Now, was that CGI on him that made him look that skinny?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
That was pretty good.
That was extremely good.
Yeah.
I didn't notice it the first time.
He looks like a cancer patient.
Yeah, he looked very emaciated. I thought it gave him more character too, because
Yeah, it makes sense because he wasn't able to eat in space.
of course,
So.
and they showed him like kind of slowly. You could see them thinning him out. But that was when him and Captain Rogers get into an argument here. I thought that was a really good scene to like cap off. No pun intended. Like what has happened in between that time.
Yeah.
And all the hurt that's still there
From Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And it was intense, but it was needed.
Mm-hmm.
And
because that was like the first time they met. Since then, yeah. Since then, wow.
Yep.
It's been that long.
If you think about it, yeah, it's been that long. And think about how much has gone on. And it's like, he was like, you weren't there for me. You said we were going to be together. We're going to fight together. We didn't do it together. And they, basically try to get Tony to come in and help them fight. And he says, no, you guys do your own thing. I like the line, keep the new blood. I like the new blood. And he's talking about Captain Marvel.
Oh, yeah, and that's when Thor shows up, right?
Thor, I think he'd been there that whole time, but he was just...
Comments.
He didn't say anything. He was just kind of moping in there. And then that's when they...
With his eyeliner.
Yeah.
He had eyeliner on.
And then they have Tony fall down. He gets like too excited and he falls and passes out. And that's when they decide, Captain Marvel's like, I'm going to go kill Thanos. And they're like, hey, can we come with you?
Yeah.
Do that? And he's, okay. And so they all go out to space and don't puke like Rocket said they were going to.
Mm-hmm.
I like that line. Has anyone been out to space? And they're like, no. Like, well,
except for Thor and Captain Marvel and I guess Iron Man.
Yeah, true. But yeah, that was fun. They go out and catch up to Thanos, and what happens?
Yeah, this is insane. I wasn't expecting this.
Mm-mm.
So we see basically Shrek Thanos.
Yeah.
Like
wow.
In the garden, planting and being very peaceful, like a different side of him. He's basically embracing this new universe that he's created. Why didn't he just wish for more resources instead of killing half of the population?
I think that's been the biggest controversial. Well, why didn't you just do that? And it's like, yeah, he should have.
There are plot holes, of course. But yeah, it was really interesting to see. He's like totally Shrek garb on. He looks like he has a vest and a basic shirt. Mm-hmm. But you see him go into his house. I'm not sure what he was doing in the house.
I think he was
just cooking something.
Yeah.
And that's when the Avengers bust in.
I mean, you talk about like a villain busting in. They straight up bust in like a villain.
Yeah.
Hulk and Hulkbuster comes through the ground
it totally ambushed him.
Thor walks right in and just cuts right through his hand and
they hold him down and then fucking Thor lets him have it and cuts his head off.
Right away.
Right away in the first, I don't know, was it the half hour?
No, it was like the first 20 minutes.
20 minutes? Okay.
Of the movie, yeah. It was very quick and it makes you go,
what? Already?
And basically he says that he destroyed the stones. He didn't
yeah.
He didn't either. The only thing that they were left for was temptation, I think was the exact line he said. So
he destroyed them down to microscopic pieces.
The atoms, yeah.
The atoms. And he's like, good luck trying to put those together. And that's when I thought they were going to turn to Ant-Man size and collect the stones or something.
They were going to go to the quantum realm and get them because they were stuck in the quantum realm.
Yeah, because I thought in this movie they would visit the quantum realm, but that never happened.
I think it was hyped up in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Mm-hmm. I thought that would play a part.
They said that it was gonna that there was a whole city in there, and I don't know if that was true, and they just they're gonna play with that later on, or if they were lying just to make it so people had different theories for Endgame. Yeah,
there was so many theories that were in the works, but didn't come to fruition. But so Thanos dies, heroes rejoice, and then depart.
And I think that the one thing I liked from that scene, though, before he cuts off his head, they say he's lying, and Nebula comes in and says
he never lies.
He never lies. Yeah. And it's a callbck from the previous Infinity War where he's like, I didn't teach you to lie. You learn that yourself. And he even says, maybe I should have been nicer to your daughter. And that's when Thor cuts his head off. And
maybe I should be nice to your daughter. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up.
That was intense. That was...
Because you see a side of Thanos in that moment that you haven't seen before. Because he's usually very by the book. straightforward, never emotional about his actions.
Yep. So, but after that, it basically cuts to black, and it's
5 years later?
5-year jump.
Yeah.
They just went right for the 5-year jump.
And this was the fun part of the movie, I felt.
Yeah. So basically, there's a new Avenger. People didn't realize that this was going to be a big thing, but there was a new Avenger in this movie. It was a rat. Rat Man saved Ant-Man.
Yeah. This unnamed hero.
Watch, they're gonna make that later on into like a thing where it was a guy named Rat Man who can change.
That or Master Splinter from Ninja Turtles.
Right. They're gonna have that in the universe. I had to bring the turtles back. But yeah, there's a rat, and he knocks open the portal.
Yeah, he hits a button or something.
Mm-hmm. One of
in the
buttons.
van. This was Ant-Man's van. I don't know if you guys have seen the previous movie, Ant-Man the Wasp. Ant-Man gets stuck in the quantum realm. Was he just by himself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, by himself.
He was getting the quantum particles, which I also wondered why he didn't come out of that
with
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless he gave it up with the 5 hours.
I think he gave up. Or couldn't find it, I don't know.
Yeah. So, but he comes back, and we see a really intense scene where there has a bunch of blocks.
Everything's gone and decimated, and he's like, "What's going on?"
Yep, and there's stuff everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Clothing. There's bags of crap.
Yeah,
there's tons of garbage everywhere.
It's basically the apocalypse. It looks like.
And Scott realizes really quick that something happened in that sense, and he goes and looks to see what names, of people that were, snapped, part of the snap.
Yeah, he goes to what looks to be like a mass graveyard memorial site that has huge tombstones with names on them.
Yep, and he, he's looking for Cassie, and then he realizes that it's actually him who got snapped.
Yeah.
And
they think that he died because, he was in the quantum realm.
Yep. And so he goes back to the house, and it was a cute scene.
Before that, he sees that kid on the bike.
Oh, he does see a kid on the bike, and he says, what happened here? And the kid just
stares at him.
Off, old man.
Rides away.
So it's kind of intense. He's jumping into this whole. He's been gone for 5 hours. I mean, imagine if you were gone for 5 hours and 5 years had passed.
Yeah,
that's a lot that's happened in that time frame. So, he ends up
somehow he finds the Avengers HQ.
Yeah,
I don't know how he knew where that was.
I'm wondering if he was never. Yeah, I remember he was there in his movie.
Oh, and that, and also Civil War, probably.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So he ends up there, and that scene before he ends up there is probably one of my other favorite ones, where it's all the different Avengers in space and around the world. On the
talking to
Scarlett
Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson. So I like
Black Widow.
Yeah,
she's basically like the new head of the Avengers, I guess.
I guess Shield almost
or Shield,
whatever.
Yeah, because Nick Fury's dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she's commanding Captain Marvel, which she's supporting her new haircut.
Yep.
And they have to mention it because it's a big plot deal. So Rocket makes fun of her haircut. And then they have who else in there? Okoye from Black Panther.
And then Rhodey is in Mexico trying to find Barton.
Who's Rhodey again?
War Machine.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so he goes. He's trying to find Barton.
And then Barton is who, to refresh me? Sorry.
Hawkeye. Okay. Yeah. So he's now Hawkeye's Ronin, so he's just out killing people, and they just set that up right here. But yeah, just they're talking about now it's trying to keep everything together when really there's nothing going on. It's just they talked about they thought it was a dangerous ship. It ended up being just a garbage fleet.
Yeah.
And then Captain Marvel's dealing with all this stuff.
She's saying there's other planets that need help. So that's also a side story that might come up in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Well, we'll get to that later, but
okay.
I think their hands are already full with all the things that they've got.
Yeah, it's like we were saying in our last episode. It's basically made a web.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways that this can go. But basically, Cap comes in and says, hey, I noticed things are going a little crappy here still.
Mm-hmm.
And, they're kind of talking about keeping your head up, and all of a sudden, Ant-Man appears.
Yeah, they're like, is that a recording or is that live feed, basically? Mm-hmm. I'm like, no, it's a live feed. Let that in.
Yeah, come on. And they just start talking about time travel, and that's, I wish that I can say that they went in deeper in all the stuff that they were talking about, but they didn't, and I'm happy with it.
They kind of go so deep with the movie.
The time limit on this really, I think that this should have been 3 movies.
Yeah, they could have split it up into a couple movies, honestly.
And it would suck, but at the same time, I think that would be where they could get their whole story, because there's some stuff that I think that they
just glossed over.
Well, I think they recorded it, because I think a lot of people had scenes that were not in the movie.
Dang.
But makes sense of what they saw.
Yeah.
And this is actually like testing crowds, so it makes sense that they put a lot of that stuff in there in the testing footage, and nothing that gave stuff away. They just tried to see how...
Test the waters.
Yeah.
Kind of like they do a Toy Story when we go to
Exactly. I guarantee there's a lot of different stuff in there when we go see it.
Yeah.
For the actual movie review. But... we'll still have a general grasp on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they had that. I think a lot of the first half of the movie was just scenes that they put together and filmed and gave different audiences.
And that happens a lot, though, in movies. Like, people get scenes that they're an extra in, and they're in a scene, and the scene gets cut. And you're still credited for the movie, but you're not in it.
Exactly. So, but at this point, they're trying to do time travel, and they go talk to Tony about it, who at this point, after 5 years, has a kid.
Yeah, he has a kid now. I forgot his kid's name. Morgan's a girl. And she's, very much like Tony. Mm-hmm. She likes to be curious about things and is adventurous.
An Iron Man suit.
Yeah,
mask, yeah, and has the little blaster in her hand.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
So I think they're really hinting at that they're going to have, like, Morgan's movie coming, I think.
That or she'll... eventually be in
Avengers.
I don't know. We'll see. Or they'll just end that family. And then Miss Potts
fine with me.
Be like, you don't want to be like your dad type of deal. So.
But the crew, I think it was Captain America, Black Widow, and Ant-Man go and talk to Tony about it, and Tony says, it's possible.
His house in the woods.
Yeah, he said he was going to take a piece out of Barton's book in Age of Ultron and get a farm for Pepper.
Yeah.
He did. That's what he did. He got a lake, lakeside house. And so basically we've got Tony just saying, no, I don't want to do this anymore. I've got a kid here.
That's in my past.
Yep. I'd love to help you, but
I already risked my life once. I don't want to risk it again.
Exactly.
But if you want to stay for dinner, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, if you don't talk shop.
Yeah.
So, it comes to they want to go find at least somebody that can, at least try it as well. And they go to Bruce Banner, who is now
Professor
Hulk.
Professor Hulk, right?
Yeah. What did you think of Professor Hulk? Did you like that they did that?
I mean, we all knew that was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked it.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was nothing... I'm glad that I think this was another fan service that they did.
Yeah.
Because people wanted this to happen, I felt. People wanted to see Professor Hulk on the screen.
Compared to just
regular Hulk. Just to see something different for once for Hulk. Because there's many forms of Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this was good. I'm glad they finally, showed off a different side of Hulk.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that they definitely fan service this.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay because I think that people have been waiting for something to happen to Hulk. I mean, we're not going to get a She-Hulk anytime soon.
No.
We're not going to get anything Planet Hulk-wise other than the Ragnarok movie.
Yeah, because they tried, single standalone Hulk movies, but they didn't do too well.
Yeah. So they bring him on. They have an awkward diner scene.
Yeah.
He's got like a big giant plate of sausage, a big bowl of eggs. It's like, oh man,
eats meal.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's the reason that Thanos needed the resources.
Yeah.
Eats for like 7 people.
And it's funny, then he has some like fangirls or...
They're actually the Russo's kids.
Oh,
yes.
That's funny. Another Easter egg.
I was like, those kids look like the Russos, and then they did the premiere, and he's with his daughter, and I was like, that's his daughter. That's like, can I get your autograph?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So
and there was a funny moment. who was it that asked, "Oh, do you want my autograph?"
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man, yeah.
Yeah, and he's five. You know, these kids wouldn't know him because it's been 5 years, and
he's not in his Ant-Man suit.
Yeah.
And, you know.
The one thing I will say, you know, with this scene, there's obviously been stuff that's been going on for the 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
They don't bring it up. Like, I wish that they were like, you know, like, hey,
so how's it going, Hulk?
I've been, you know, have you been fighting any, like, you know, or
how did you learn to become this Hulk?
Well, he kind of explains it, but he doesn't really explain. He's like, I spent a year in the lab and I put the brains and the bronze and now I have them together, and it's like, okay,
how?
Yeah, exactly.
Why didn't you do that before?
He said it was a gamma lab, but it's like, what? I mean, you know, whatever. So they go and they decide at the Avengers facility they're going to try and do some time travel after talking to Hulk, and Hulk says, I can try. And
I have to say, though, I'm kind of glad that they have this Hulk. Who's the actor that plays him again?
Oh, Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, he's
rather than Edward Norton.
Oh,
just because his face looks better as a Professor Hulk than Edward Norton.
He's got more of like a squared off face.
Exactly, so it's a perfect Hulk face.
Yeah. But they decide that they're gonna try out the time traveling. What happens to Scott? I like this scene.
So yeah, they get their quantum suits, right?
Yep. They start making them.
These quantum suits, they all look the same. Which I see that they have sweaters like that now, like hoodies. And this is a hilarious moment because they're like, don't know if it's going to work or not.
Yep.
And they keep on using Ant-Man as a guinea pig to send back in time. And each time he comes back, he's either a baby or an old man or a teenager. And then eventually they get it.
They get him back, and he goes, I peed myself.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was baby me, older me, or me. But at that point, you know, Steve Rogers gets a little pissed off and walks outside, and sure enough, there's a speeding car coming around, and
oh my god, and it's Tony. Of course, just as Tony would act, you know, back in Iron Man 1, I feel like.
Oh yeah. And what was the line? Why the long face? Because, well, crazy things are happening amongst other things. What are you doing here? And he goes, he turned into a baby, didn't he?
Because he already knew.
He already warned him that this would happen.
He knows exactly the precautions to take for time travel, which is funny because he in his house he ends up
figuring it out.
Yeah.
That that's true. Yeah, I skipped over that. He does at one point
because of course. If you bring something to Tony and he doesn't know it, he's gonna have to solve it.
He's gonna have to
figure it out.
Yeah. And I liked how they kept him with his character arc, that he can't put things down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, I did move over that. So before he does meet up with them, he does figure that out.
He has to finish things with,
And he even says to Pepper, like, I could throw this, put it in a lockbox and throw it into the lake.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, well, would you be able to sleep?
Yeah.
So, but then it brings it to that point where they're all now working on this time machine. They end up going to pick up Thor, who at this point is got a beer gut.
He's basically the Big Lebowski.
Mm-hmm. He's picked up drinking alcohol in our human world because he lives in Norway now.
Yeah.
Valkyrie's in it as well, but she plays a small part at the beginning, just to kind of guide them to.
Then there are two favorite characters from Thor Ragnarok.
Making cool, guy.
And they're playing Fortnite.
Yep, and talking to some characters, and it's funny how
this is a great scene.
Yep, and they it shows that Thor is, as much as he's God, he's human as well. Like.
He gets emotional.
Yeah, he messes up as well. So, and then also they go and find Barton, who is
Ronan,
and he's in Tokyo, and
he's intense. It's like, let the hate flow through you.
Yeah,
your family's dead.
And his whole thing with being Ronan is Thanos killed everybody except for the bad guys.
Yeah, and he's
going after the bad guys.
He's like, why did you kill the good and not all this bad? And now he's off for bloodlust, and he's in this scene. He's a savage, man.
Yeah.
Even like the what's I assume is the head Yakuza boss
Yeah.
for that gang is like, why are you killing us? And then basically explains, you guys should be dead, not my family.
Yeah. So, but Romanoff comes in and says, hey, we've got some hope. Let's do this.
And of course he's like, hell yeah, let's go.
Fuck it. And then at this point, it's just a montage of them putting together
the transporter
itself.
They stand on.
But at this point, also, they're also trying to find out where all the Infinity Stones are and what times they can go back.
Mm-hmm.
So they
different time periods.
Yeah, so they set up a couple of teams. They have one team that's Rhodey and Nebula who go after the Power Stone.
Yeah, so they kind of set it up like Infinity War now,
Mm-hmm.
where there's like different teams.
Yep.
That you have to follow along, and I think there was 4.
Yeah.
Or is there 3? 3. Okay,
Yeah.
3.
No, 4. There was 4, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone talk about that?
So yeah, maybe it was 3. It was Rhodey and Nebula, and then they went to Morag and they got the Power Stone from Peter Quill.
And Morag is what?
Morag is a planet.
Oh, just to
No, I know.
the
It's
viewers.
so funny because that's what they say in the movie.
Oh.
And then you got Vormir, which is where the Soul Stone is. That's another planet. And
That's where Red Skull is?
Yep.
Okay.
And that was Natasha and Hawkeye.
Hawkeye, yeah.
And that is pretty intense because we see that Natasha and Clint have basically a spar to the death. Almost.
Yeah. And they, they love each other. Maybe not in a sexual way,
Mhm.
but in a
like
friendship way.
Yeah, and this has consequences as well. It's that much.
Basically, it's the same thing that happened to Gamora. Someone had to die in order to get the stone.
Yeah.
And they're fighting over who dies, and then, of course, Black Widow, she dies.
Smart enough to clip on a carabiner on Hawkeye and save him, and so she's gone.
She's gone forever. So she won't be in, the future Avengers. She'll have her own movie, like they were supposed to have for Phase 4. So she's not gone per se completely.
Yeah. But I think they figured, she's got her own movie coming up. We can probably kill her off in the sense that we don't have to worry about the future.
So that was the first death of the movie.
And then we've got Cap, Ant-Man, and Tony and Hulk.
Yeah, this is a great team right
all go into the past
to 2012. The first Avengers movie.
This is where a lot of the good stuff comes in the movie. So first of all, you got the first scene that they come into. It's the scene where they're looking all around them, and they're looking at all the bad guys. The money shot of the movie.
The Avengers money shot,
And they see, they go across from there and they see Hulk smash. And he, goes up and smashes one of the Chitauri on a car. And even, Professor Hulk looks at it and he's like, I'm sorry, guys.
I'm not that anymore.
Yeah, but they have to have him go around and smashing so that way it doesn't look obvious that it's not him.
So he basically... pretends that
gets into character.
He's like, all right, I can do this. And starts smashing, but it's not as intense as the other Hulk.
Exactly.
And then eventually he finds the Time Witch. I forgot her name. The girl from Doctor Strange.
The Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah.
That's where Banner goes. Professor Hulk does. Mm-hmm. That's where he takes off to, and then Ant-Man and Iron Man get the Mind Stone, and then apparently
where was the Mind Stone?
That was the scepter.
Where was it?
Remember Loki had it up at the top, and you went out for this. You left for this part. Basically, it's the part where they all have their weapons at Loki. And they capture him in the Avengers movie. Yeah, and they show him going down the elevator. And they tell Hulk, you have to take the stairs, and he gets all pissed off. It's a joke. Oh. And so that's when they start. Tony goes up there and watches them as they're taking the stone downstairs. Mm-hmm. And Cap gets the Mind Stone. Tony gets the Space Stone.
Yeah, because it's in the briefcase.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry. And then Cap ends up running into his old self.
Yeah, this is a fun scene.
From 2012.
It's kind of like the Spider-Man.
Yeah, the point. And it was a really good scene, and I love at the end of it, he goes, Bucky is alive. Yeah, I love his alive, the way he says it. And he's like, what?
Knocks him out.
And then runs into Rumlow and the other Hydra agents that did take
in the elevator.
And actually it shows the background of how Hydra gets the scepter in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And so Cap goes in there and says, like, Rumlow, I'm going to be running point on the scepter.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, I can't.
We can't let you take this. We got to take this scepter from you.
Oh, okay. Well, guess what? Hail Hydra.
Yeah.
Boom. Done. Easy.
Oh, man.
It's nice knowing the future.
That was a good callback.
Yeah. And especially because it wasn't from, that was from, what's
just
it called?
comic books.
No, that was from Winter Soldier. Remember the scene where they try to beat up Cap in the elevator?
Uh-huh.
They were trying to reproduce that.
Oh.
Yeah.
So they're trying to incorporate all their movies into this one movie?
Exactly. And then, so he takes off and he gets with that, but ends up being that downstairs, Tony and Ant-Man are trying to get the other stone, and as soon as they get it,
Loki takes it, right?
Yeah, Hulk knocks the door open and knocks Tony out, and it opens
why
up
did Hulk do that?
Because he had to take the stairs.
No, but why? Remember they separated his body?
Well, no. This was the other Hulk. This was the Hulk from 2012.
Oh, okay.
He knocks the door open that Tony's going up.
Okay.
And he knocks the box open, and Loki looks down and sees it and grabs it with his foot and just disappears.
Teleports. Yeah.
Yep. And so at that point, the Avengers say, "Oh shoot! Well, now we don't have the time stone, and we're screwed." And so they have to go back in time even more. And grab some Pym particles as well. Mm-hmm. They go back to 1970 and where Captain America was stationed, and they had S.H.I.E.L.D. underground, which I didn't really like that scene.
Yeah.
Where he met his dad in the past.
Tony Stark's dad?
Yeah. That even when I was reading the leaks, I was like, really? Like, they do that, and like it's smart how they get that point.
Basically, this is a scene where they meet, and then his father mentions, "Oh, I'm gonna have a son here soon. Mm-hmm. I'm scared. I don't know what to expect." And then Tony's like, "Well, you'll be just fine."
Yeah, he gives his own dad advice on him. Like, okay. So they end up getting the stone. They all travel back in time, back to the present. But during that whole time,
the Hulk. Huh? The Hulk with the Supreme.
Oh, and then the Hulk during the battle, talks to the Supreme
Sorcerer?
Sorcerer Supreme, and he says, I'm looking for Doctor Strange, and she's like, well, you're 5 years early, sorry. And basically, he has to tell her that Strange gave up the stone in order to get
And she's like, he would never do that.
Yeah, and he's supposed to be the best of us. And if he did that, then obviously there was good reason. So she gets that stone. But while all this is happening, and they also get the stone from Peter Quill, they basically hit him in the head while he's dancing around. And Rhodey and Nebula.
From the first Guardians of the Galaxy, right in the very beginning of the movie, he's dancing with the headphones on.
So they take from that scene and they beat him. And then they go and get the stone, and while this is happening, they try to sync up to go back. Well, Nebula doesn't, and it's because Thanos has her older self, or her past self. They get linked up in their cybernetic system, and so Thanos is able to see what's going on and what's happening, and basically says, "Oh, well, now we don't have to worry about getting the stones. They're going to be right there for us. We'll just go back to the future."
What?
Back to the Future.
Oh.
And, we'll do the snap there. And so while everyone's coming out of the quantum realm, older Nebula basically gets gets captured by newer Nebula, and they switch positions. And Nebula, while they're getting a gauntlet ready for all the stones that they picked up, Nebula,
which was a leak.
Yeah.
So there was this child's toy that went out to the market before Avengers came out, and it was the Iron Man glove gauntlet.
Yep.
And we thought, you know,
it was bullshit.
It was just a BS
Marketing.
toy. Like we thought it was just like someone messed up on the toy and they made it look like Iron Man's. But no,
that was legitimate.
It was legit.
Yeah. So they make the gauntlet and they decide.
Why would they leak that?
Oh man. And they decide that that Hulk's gonna do it because he's the
strongest.
Yeah, he's got the gamma radiation, and so basically they have him put it on, and it causes damage to his arm, but he's able to get off a snap, and well, everyone's back. And immediately after they snap, Thanos shows up and blows the Avengers facility to Kingdom Come. And I think this is about where all the fan service just gets crazy.
Yeah, this is when it gets crazy.
Hulk basically does a Planet Hulk with one arm and holds up the whole facility underground. Rhodey and War Machine and Rocket end up, getting out of there.
They're chasing Rhodey. Thanos is...
no, that was Hawkeye.
Or Hawkeye.
Hawkeye is down at the bottom, and he ends up finding the Infinity Gauntlet and says, oh, I'll go run it like a football game.
Yeah.
And he's getting chased by the, whatever those are, the Outriders, and basically, gets away from them, and he gets up to the top, and that's when Tony wakes up Captain America, and Thor, Tony, and Captain America go have a little rematch with Thanos, and they end up getting their ass kicked.
Yeah,
which is
really surprising because prior in the movie they were able to handle him.
Well, that's because he was
weaker
weak,
from the gauntlet.
And they even said in the with the writing process, they were like, even if they got the gauntlet off Thanos in the last movie, they would have been scared at how strong he was. So that made sense of why they were like, oh crap, like even without the gauntlet, he's still strong as ever. But it's basically a fun little fight scene, and we finally realize that Captain America is worthy of picking up Mjolnir.
Oh, yeah.
He actually, Thor's almost getting it put into his chest where Thanos, did to him, or what he did to Thanos with his axe.
With his, what's that guy? What's the axe? Stormbreaker?
Stormbreaker. And he gets saved by Captain America hitting him, and basically Captain America keeps fighting, and he's not able to hold off, and what do you know? Doctor Strange finally shows up after 45 minutes, and
because we're like, oh yeah, that's right, we wished everybody back, and they're not here yet.
Where is everybody? And so he brings a bunch of portals and shows up, and
then there's a giant, huge army of people.
Yep, and it's an army of people. It's basically Lord of the Rings battle scene. But I mean, it had a lot of different.
Return of the King.
Yeah, and it has a lot more fun to it because these are characters that we've grown up with over the last 10 years. So you get to see all them fight, and
And this is like we were saying, the fan service kicks in.
Yeah.
You see the Iron Spider suit.
Instant kill.
And then you see Pepper Potts in an Iron Man suit destroying.
So there's a lot of stuff that goes on. I mean,
Thor dual wields.
I think one of the funny parts is Captain America ends up with Stormbreaker, and he's like, "No, you take the little one," and they switch. And so it's a fun, really big battle, and obviously it's gonna have to come to an end at one point. And Captain Marvel shows up and destroys Thanos' ship.
Which was obvious that would happen.
Yeah, right.
She's just so OP.
And they try to get the gauntlet back. Thanos does, and so it's a mad dash between Peter Parker. There's a really cool scene where all the girls are fighting Thanos. Girl power, baby.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of fan service. It's just too much to even go over. Until we get the copy of the movie, and we can actually sit down and slowly watch it. But at that point, at the end, Thanos ends up getting the gauntlet, and Doctor Strange says, doesn't say anything. He just Tony, you should know what this means. And Tony's like, okay, and runs and grabs the gauntlet and switches out the gems somehow. And
Yeah.
And then Thanos is gone. And
all of his creatures are gone.
Apparently he dies. And so we have the end of Tony Stark.
Yep, and he's basically dying.
Sad scene with the payoff of, Peter Parker coming up and Rhodey saying bye and Pepper saying goodbye. And it's a sad send-off. It was super emotional. I cried.
Oh, man. I mean, it's kind of like in Iron Man 2 in a way, where he's like dying in that movie.
True. Yeah. And maybe that was a foreshadow to...
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Maybe he wasn't supposed to be alive for so long. So
yeah, exactly.
But they have a funeral for him at the end.
And that kid shows up where I didn't recognize him. 3. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked how they had like all the characters that were, the new Tony, and they had Iron Man 3 kid. It was just random, but I mean, it was cool. But at the same time, people were like, "Who the is that kid?" Right?
Yeah, that was the kid that was in the house where he like hides in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and then they go over kind of what's going on with the universe. They show Peter Parker going into what we think is a college.
Yeah,
we'll go over there in a second. And then Clint getting his family back, and Scott Lang getting his family back.
Mm-hmm.
And then what was the other? Oh, and then it shows Guardians of the Galaxy, and Thor is now part of Guardians of the Galaxy.
And I'm glad.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I think
he's a great addition.
And I was talking about this before you came over.
Uh-huh.
That also makes the enemy for Guardians of the Galaxy 3 more OP too.
It's gonna be if
you have Thor.
Yeah.
Why would you?
Well, they have
him there?
What's his face?
Adam Warlock.
Adam Warlock is gonna be the villain.
Yeah,
because they kind of showed his
cocoon.
His cocoon in Guardians Volume 2.
So that's gonna be interesting what they do with that.
Mm-hmm. And is Thor gonna get back in shape? I'm assuming so.
Yeah, I'm guessing throughout the galaxy he's not gonna have as much beer to consume. But I like how he's like, I'm the leader of the ship.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I am. And he's like, well, we all know who the real leader of the ship is. And
Rocket.
yeah. After everything. But so they kind of ended off with a lot of different plot points that they can go with.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest one is what is going to happen for Homecoming. Because I realized...
Oh, don't forget Captain America.
Oh, yes. And then at the end, we have Cap going back in time and placing all the stones back in order. And then he's supposed to come back and, live his life in the present. But we find out that...
He lives it in the past.
Yeah. He goes and has his dance with Peggy Carter and...
That he alluded to.
Decides to stay there and do it. And super fun. And he didn't have to deal with Bucky, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
And he gives his shield back off to Sam.
Yep.
Who is going to take over for the Captain America position.
Which I'm surprised that he got it and not Bucky.
Yeah.
But I think Bucky might be wanting to do something else.
I think...
Because he was in Wakanda, right?
Yeah.
So maybe he likes Wakanda?
Maybe. I thought so, too, because with this whole show that they were going to do.
Falcon and...
Yeah, but when they put up that picture for it and they showed him with his red star,
mm-hmm.
his Russian star,
mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, well, obviously they're not going to make him Captain America then, because he's got a Russian star on it.
Yeah.
So... but yeah, very cool. I saw in...
Captain America looked like Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, he had a very... it was still him. They just gave him old prosthetics, and I really like they made him look legitimately old.
Mm-hmm.
So, but picking up like on where Spider-Man Far From
Home,
Home, I'm so confused because what does that mean for the 5 years? Is he now in college? So did they suddenly make it so that way we can keep him older now?
That or does the Far From Home take place during that 5 years.
Correct. Yeah.
That 5-year span that we don't see in the movie.
But that time he was snapped.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So that's why it's like, are they all going to come back and they're all in high school still, but they go to college because they're so smart?
Yeah.
There's so many.
He just takes accelerated class.
Does Doctor Strange come in and like find the time stone and be like, okay, Peter Parker, you're back in high school now.
Yeah.
Like, all your friends are too, so have fun. Like, there's a lot of things that they have to clear up, and I can't wait till they have a new trailer for it, because I feel like they're going to explain what happened. And there's a lot of construction in the movie, in the trailer.
Oh.
If you watch in the background of London. And then also when he gets his passport, it says he got his passport on July 29th, and doesn't have a day after it. So obviously they probably whitewashed that for 2025 or whatever year they're in now.
Yeah.
So, but it opens up a lot, and I think it's weird that they're gonna keep going with Phase 4 or Phase 3 through Spider-Man.
Yeah, because that was supposed to be Phase 4.
Yeah. So I'm wondering what they still have in store, especially if they change Phase. Yeah, especially if Endgame wasn't the official send off. So.
Yeah, I'm sure the Homecoming, or Far From Home rather, will have the beginning of the chunk of the movie will be a little bit about Endgame. I'm guessing like at least 10 minutes.
Yeah, because they said it happens right after Endgame, so if that's the case, then it should be after that funeral. Or
kind of like what they did with Thor, Ragnarok, and Infinity War.
Yes, yeah. You thought you knew what was going on, and then it's completely different. Not in a bad way, just it's actually like pays off. Yeah. So.
Well, we're about almost an hour in, 47 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot to go over in this movie. It's a 3-hour-long movie, and there's a lot that happens. But overall, it's definitely an enjoyable movie. If you ever watched any of the Marvel movies, this is definitely one you have to watch.
Yeah, it'll go over a lot of stuff too, so you don't have to like actually watch everything. You can just go into it and have fun. I would suggest seeing Infinity War first.
Yeah, at least that. I think that's the only one you have to really see.
Yeah.
To get the gist of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't really have to even see Captain Marvel.
No, not at all. No, and that doesn't really set up anything other than
the
Tesseract in a time where no one else was around.
Yeah, and I guess if you've seen their first Avengers, it would also make sense too.
Yeah.
Just to understand like the hilarities that happen when they go back in time.
Exactly. So.
But yeah, and any other final thoughts?
Just a great movie. I think that it deserved all the 9s that it got. 97s, whatever it was at. Metacritic had it at 77%.
I can say that though.
Yeah.
Because there's people that aren't fans of the MCU.
Of course. But I figured with Metacritic, they would probably be a little bit higher because they're kind of comic book people. They talk about that stuff too. So I was surprised. But either way, people like it or don't. I loved it. I thought it was great. Favorite scene was definitely the battle scene.
Yeah. Definitely enjoyed the movie. The only gripe is like I wish there was more action.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I wish. Other than that, great movie. Like we were saying in movie Lowdown over the weekend, it was the cherry on top that completed the MCU.
At least the Avengers.
Yeah, Avengers storyline, the story arc. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're still watching this, we hopefully will do more of these if you like it. Kind of like a longer breakdown discussion. Usually I like these when I listen to like podcasts and stuff. Like there's a Game of Thrones one I listen to, and they kind of do like a spoilers edition where they go down and break it down. Oh, okay. Usually it's like an hour and a half. So I thought these were enjoyable. I thought this would be enjoyable for some fans. Yeah. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for supporting us. Yeah. But as always, I'm TJ Washuk.
And I'm Fat Thor.
We love you, and good night.
This has been a Two Guys production.